Class. Today we'll be developing the roles and characters that are specific to drama, and Dylan will be taking over and getting us more involved in the tasks. So over to you, Dylan.
All good. Yeah, I thought I'd take over a little bit more because I've been absent for the past couple of weeks. Anyway, morning everyone. In further to the context of the drama class, so you guys are year 8s. Try and imagine year 8s in a school where you just kind of, this may be your first ever drama class. This may be the first time that you've actually come to the school. It might be a Monday, you don't know anyone. In a high school, it's like 8 till 12 basically. So the whole point of this type of lesson is to try and sort of get that sort of ensemble building, although I won't get you guys to sort of stand up and do some of the drama activities that I propose, but I'll yell them out as we go. I might have one list planned, is that okay? And the two things that I want to sort of stress on in the coding scales that I put out is engagement, hopefully it's okay, and also the explicit quality criterion is how we sort of explain the first assignment that I'll talk about in terms of developing character. What I would normally get you guys to do is we'll do like a little warm-up activity that kind of just builds a little bit of just fun. It's a thing called Space Jump, if you guys have probably done something like that in high school, which is basically you just sort of sit down, someone will start up and do like a little bit of a scene, just something as simple as like washing dishes or something like that, and people can come up and add to the scene, or like sort of take people out and sort of do different directions on how something would go. So I did one, we did a conga line, saying, oh shit, I do apologise for my language, saying we'd like, oh, I wish we had TV or something like that, and then someone would come along and see the conga line, and it's just like, here's a worm in its natural habitat type thing. Anyway, what we're going to look at today, guys, is this thing that I'm probably going to test you on maybe in a little bit later into the course. These are the various elements of how drama is created. Particularly, I want to stress a little bit more importance onto the bold elements that I've put up there. These are the ones that we're going to focus on in the next 6 weeks in particular. Particularly role and character, and we're going to look at the definitions between what role is and what character is, because it often gets confused. And voice and movement in particular, because these are your beginning expressive elements that are very, very obviously you would see in TV shows or in dramas if you guys go to theatre. Maybe not, all good. But in television, the things that you hear mostly and see mostly is people moving and people talking. So, and then we'll talk about a few of these other ones a little bit later in the semester if you're still with us. Cool? The first thing I want to draw your attention to is this definition of what a character is. There are 2 definitions in the dictionaries that you'll find around in English classes. One being the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual, that being what the person thinks, what a person says, how a person reacts to certain situations, how people react, how are people, basically. And the second one, being involved in the action of a story, just kind of just says that these are people, these are things that you sort of will create in drama. So kind of just linking those 2 together. It's a person or a being in a story that has mental and moral qualities distinctive to that person. Unless you're in certain shows that have 2 people that are exactly the same, there are a few theatre shows that are like that. Most of the time there are individual people. And the ways in which we do create characters are these wonderful things. That didn't decide to bring up the title. There we go. There's 2 things in particular that I said before in the elements of drama: movement and voice. Voice, as I'm sure you guys remember in probably one of my first mini lessons with English, have all of these certain factors: volume, pitch, pace, pause, resonance and diction. I will ask you guys to write these in your books and all that in case, yes, thank you, Paul. And also movement, in which in drama, in using simplified terms for a year 8 classroom, using facial expressions or the way that you move your face, if you're smiling, if you're not smiling, if you're moving your ears, and some people can do that. Posture in the way that you stand, and the action, the things that you do expressively in space and time to create roles. Certain things happen in a specific space or a place or a setting, and some things happen night, day, etc. or in a year. Situations, relationships, atmosphere, and symbols. These are all elements of drama that we saw on the first slide, but these are your more things that you build upon with the basics of movement and voice. Still with us? How do you reckon, in sort of learning what we saw for the first lesson, how do you think that I would get you guys to show me that you can correctly express these things whilst working together as a group and putting on some kind of performance for us? How do you think I would get you guys to do that and show me that you can do this?
Read a passage.
Read a passage. I could give you a piece of work, maybe a couple sentences long, and sort of get you to sort of dictate it for me or act it out. Yeah, absolutely. From a book or a play, or I could write something down for you guys to do. Absolutely. Any other ideas that I could get you to do? I'll take that one into account, actually. Anything else? What if I were to take one thing away and get you guys to just perform something for me that way? So if I were to take away this sort of expressive skill, I can't hide it, but if I were to take away voice and see you guys just perform on movement as a style of theatre that's just solely on movement without any voice, what's that called? Mime, yes. French, very, very, very influential, especially in the way of expressionist theatre, which we'll talk about a little bit later. There's also ways in which only voice is used instead of movement. Can you name me a sort of form of drama where you only hear someone, you don't see anyone? Radio dramas, yes, absolutely. Also another form of artwork, music, albums, that is a form of drama in its way of telling stories throughout, or lack of telling stories in certain songs. Of a way of expressing characters within a story. There are characters everywhere. These are all things that we will take upon, especially for future assignments, particularly when we get into styles of theatre. We'll look at like radio dramas and mimes and things like that. But for now, it's going to be just as simple as this little thing. In 6 weeks, we're going to have a look at this as we go through the elements individually of movement and voice. And we're going to separate these so we know exactly what each of them do. So like tomorrow, next lesson, next lesson we're going to look at movement and solely movement, so there'll be no talking, and you guys are going to have to try and communicate characters that way, and then we'll add voice into it. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Basically, I want you guys to do a group presentation working in groups of 3 and 4 to try and create a 1 to 2 minute thing. A thing, basically I say thing intentionally, it can be anything. But I sort of stress, it's obviously you are doing character work and all that. You guys just can't be plants for 1 to 2 minutes and just add a tree. You'll be marked using the elements of drama that we put forward. Don't worry about masks. We will get into that a little bit later, and we'll get you guys to put on some funky little masks. Welcome, Ghost. To put on some masks, but we'll go into mask work a little bit later. The main thing I really want to stress is the expressive skills, particularly of movement and voice, and what is the intended purpose of a scene in terms of dramatic meaning. Another definition that I would cover earlier on in the lesson, but we obviously don't have time. And you can request music. That is also another thing of just like, you can communicate with me if you want to add some mood to your scene. Now I have a rubric for this, and I sort of do my rubrics like this. I say A, B, and C. What I really want to aim for, I don't really put D and E because that's not what you guys are aiming for, is it? Yeah. All good. This is kind of a little bit of a mess of just words that you guys probably wouldn't understand at this stage. So what I want to get you guys to do is break this down for me. So these things are, I mark it in terms of 3 different criteria. One of them is to do with something about the group's performance. The second one, can you guys see that? Something to do with the creation of a character. So that's something that's a little bit more personalized. And the intention of, or the reason on why you are communicating or speaking in this scene. So this is to do with a thing called relationships, which we talk about a little bit more in the elements of drama at the start. The way that I wanted to try and get this done for you guys, now I need to do this. And I'm going to use my Mac technology skills. What? Deny. What is that? No. I'm going to use my Mac technology skills to bring this up. I'm going to turn the lights off. Is that okay? Yeah. That's really annoying. I've bolded here a few little elements here that I really want you guys to focus on if you're aiming for this A band. I don't expect you guys to get too far into the A band for this particular assignment. This is just purely for us to, oh yeah, we might turn the back ones on if that's, there we go, yeah. You guys are probably going to look at more in the B band. I don't expect you to get too far ahead with this, but that's all means to surprise me and do that. So, as I said before, this one's more of a group performance. So obviously I want one marking criteria to look at how you guys work as a group. Whether you guys want all of your members to actually act, or in a C band I get one or two people to lead the whole thing, and I will grade you upon that. The second one is an individual. This is also an individual assessment. It's not just a group presentation, because I feel it's very unfair. If someone does all the work and you don't get to do anything, how will I get to mark you like that? Seem fair? Obviously, when I say an above average characterization, I mean more about this second point that I've put here, about drawing upon more than the expanded elements of drama that I want there. So if you guys want to go above and beyond, that's where you want to aim for your A band. Whether you want to add in something like, one of the elements of drama there was focus. So if you wanted to look at focus, like sort of just have someone, actually I want to explain it, you guys will have to research that for yourself. As you move further down these bands, by the way, obviously things for the entire performance, for most of the performance and for half of it. Obviously your D&E is obviously for none of them, or for very little of it. We'll talk about, I can't really explain it all in one lesson because this is in 6 weeks' time, but we'll also be, when we're looking at voice, about how we look at voice and only speaking when necessary. So that's where this on-stage relationship sort of comes in, which, in which it will add depth to the performance and not just a little depth, or voice doesn't really mean anything. Especially here, once again, in the entire group's performance, and both verbally and non-verbally. How do you reckon, sorry to get you guys to sort of speak up again, but how do you reckon we can communicate non-verbally? Just give me one word, it was in the elements of drama. Expression. It's a type of expression. We had voice, but if we're not doing it verbally, how else could we perform an action? What's this called? Yes! Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Movements. I really wanted to put this up in the A band. It is one of the hardest things to do in drama, is to communicate what you want to say non-verbally. That's a skill that I don't expect you guys to get straight away. I really want you guys to try and work on trying to develop that over the course of these 6 weeks, which is why I wanted to start with movement next week. So yeah, that's what I want you guys to focus on, but we won't be looking at this now. We're going to be going through each of the things individually, and then we'll come back to this later. But I wanted to bring this up just so I could show you guys sort of what I'm going to be looking for in the next 6 weeks. And write down anything that I say in our classes that will help you with this assignment, because I promise you it will help out. All cool? Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you.